Well, there we go. I had to add myself to the feed there. Good evening, everybody. Happy New Year. Welcome to Speaking of Zane, January the 5th, 2025. How about that? This is our 304th edition of Speaking of Zane. We had a couple of weeks off. I can't remember. I think December 22nd was our last Speaking of Zane, and we were heading into Christmas week. And we have not done a Speaking of Zane since then. I think that's true. But anyway, we'll get caught up a little bit tonight on what's going on around the fabulous McDonald Estate and Insane Asylum here, and talk about a few things that are coming up. And as we move into the new year, we had a really good Christmas. I'm trying to remember. I think December 22nd was the last edition of Speaking of Zane, and Christmas Eve was the 24th. So I don't think we've met since Christmas, but we had a wonderful Christmas Eve at our daughter Hannah's house. And Hannah's now married to a fine young man called Kaleem from India, great guy. And they invited us to their house. So we went to their place for Christmas Eve, and our son Jackson and his wife Caitlin and their daughter Carson came along, and then our daughter Charlotte that lives in Chicago. She was in town, so she came over. So we had a big time there, having Christmas with them, and lots of good food. Lori brought food, Jackson brought food, Hannah had food, Kaleem went and got a bunch of Indian food, which was fantastic. So it was a really good Christmas Eve there. Well, let me do a little roll call here as we have some people joining. Let's see, we've got Lori's in there, Tyler and Zane, Ken's in there. Hey Ken, how are you? Good to have you in there. I know you had to. I think you made a quick appearance on the last session and had to bounce out real quick, but good to have you in there. And speaking of Steve Shirley, I think Steve and Kathy were out in the California desert, I think, for some hockey. I think that's true. I'm not sure if they're back yet. They might want to stay, considering the weather that they're going to be having up there. And sounds like Carl is already having weather. I know that band of weather that's coming supposed to go straight across Missouri there. So you guys, some pretty significant snowfall, I think, is expected. Sounds like anyway. There's my cousin Toby. Toby's in there. Toby's been all over the place. Toby, I can never keep track of you. You go to football games. I think you were in New Orleans at the Sugar Bowl. I can't keep track of you. You're bouncing all over. Big sports guy. Toby is. Randy Bergmeyer's in there. Hey, Randy, good to see you in there, buddy. Hope to see you. Lori and I will be coming to the reunion, the 10th Acts reunion, and I've got to get my what do you call it, application sent in. I don't think I've told Lori the date on that yet, but it's in April. April, what is it, Randy? April 25th through 27th, something like that. So we'll look forward to that. Actually, I'm thinking about driving, actually, and going up through Kentucky, Bourbon Country. I've never done the Bourbon Trail. That's on my list. So Lori and I may either do the Bourbon Trail on the way or the Bourbon Trail on the way back. We'll see how it goes. But it's going to be at Lori. It's going to be at the in Dayton, Ohio, near the Air Force Museum. So that'll be a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing everybody. Yep, April 25th, 26th there, Randy is confirming. So that'll be great. Let's see, Jimbo Miller's in there. Jim held out a little bit on us here, and he didn't share with us that he had been in the hospital. And Jim confirmed with us now that you are back home. I hope that's true. I think that's true. And hope you're doing well. And maybe it's enough runway for you to consider making the trip over to the 10th Acts reunion. I'll tell you, the 10th Acts team has been absolutely fantastic about accommodating those of us that were in the 513th AMS that flew as members of the crew. We weren't 10th AX members, we were 513th AMS, but we were part of the com crew. And that whole group has been fantastic. When we had the San Antonio, we had the Branson, and and they've even gone as far as putting the 513th AMS logo on the swag. So I love that about that group. I tell you, that was some of my those are some of my fondest memories was spending time with the com crew in the 10th Acts at Milton Hall and Lodges, and I just it's some of my fondest memories. That's why I love those reunions so much. So I'm looking forward to that. Let's see. Jim is home. Good, good. Jim is home. I know Daryl has bounced back and forth again, even since we last met. And when I saw a post from Daryl, I think it was yesterday. I think it was yesterday. He was thinking they might let him go today, but I haven't seen anything from him today, so I'm not sure. But he's had a lot of complications as a result of the knee surgery. It's lungs and heart and everything has kind of been pulled into the mix there. But seems like his spirits are high. But I do know that he's got family that's looking after him, and he may have got out yesterday. Now that I think about it, but his son went to visit Wanda at Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery on the occasion of her birthday. Daryl was not able to go, but Daryl's son was able to go. But I don't see Daryl piping up in there tonight. So, but anyway, be thinking about him. I know he's had a tough go these last few months. I really enjoy spending time with him when I go to St. Louis, and I'm sure I'll be there again sometime this month or next, and hope to see him again. But he's one of my earliest mentors. I was an 18-year-old when I arrived at Offutt Air Force Base, and he was the swing shift supervisor, and just an amazing thing. Okay, well let's see who else we got. Cindy in there, my cousin Aunt Cindy. Good grief, my cousin Cindy, daughter of my Aunt Betty. Hey Cindy, good to have you in there. Hope you guys are well. Okay, okay, Ken and Lori are confirming. Yeah, you guys must have read a little closer than I did, but yeah, so um, they did go, but Daryl had to wait in the car. Okay, good. Well, they may not get a chance to go for a little while with the I think with the snow, the projected snow. So it was good that they got that visit in. But I enjoy following Daryl, and hoping he's on the mend, just like Jim. All right, well let's see. So, and did I mention my dad's in there too? Let's see, Dad. I got Carl, Randy, Jimbo. Yeah, my dad's in there from South Georgia. Hey, Dad. My dad's starting. My dad likes to do these projects. And my dad, I saw my sister posted something today about my dad started a brand new project, which I was not surprised about because a couple of weeks don't go by before he starts a new project. And I don't exactly, it's in the kitchen. It's in the kitchen, but I don't exactly know the details of the project. But anyway, wow, just incredible at 80 years old, the things he's able to do. I can't keep up with him. But good to have you in there, Dad. All right, there's Stony again. Snowing in Newport News. How about that? Well, I know it's supposed to be a lot of snow going on. There's Daryl. Hey, Daryl, good to have you in there, buddy. We were just talking about you. Your ears are probably burning, but everybody's thinking about you and praying for you. And we appreciate you posting your status on Facebook so we know how the heck you're doing. So good to have you in there. Well, let's see. So I mentioned we had Christmas at Hannah's. Charlotte was in town, which was great. Um, we had a quiet New Year's Eve here, Lori and I. We had our granddaughter Carson, who turned 5 on New Year's Eve. And so she thinks the fireworks celebrations are all about her. And she was a good girl. We had a good sleepover, and she was back again today. Our son Jackson and his wife, Caitlin, went to the Falcons game at Mercedes-Benz today. Wow, I watched the game. I'm not a big NFL guy these days, but I did watch the game because Jackson was there. Wow, what a back and forth. Each team just answered, and unfortunately, in overtime, the Falcons lost. So evidently, the Falcons had to win, and the Saints had to lose. I think that's right. Or anyway, two things had to happen for the Falcons to stay, and neither one of them did. So Falcons are eliminated. But Jackson got to go see a really good game, and he was actually there earlier in the week at the Peach Bowl, unexpectedly, like with a day's notice. Um, he got tickets to the Peach Bowl. His buddy Nick from high school, who's in the Navy, got tickets and invited Zane invited Jackson, and they went to the Peach Bowl, which was fantastic. If you watch the Peach Bowl, it was another drama. All the bowls have been fantastic, in my opinion. Even the lesser bowls, I've watched every one of them that I could watch. All the bowls were great, but that Texas game was boy, that was I was on the edge of your seat game, and of course Texas won, but Jackson was at the game and had a good time with his buddy Nick. They had really good seats with the free food and all that stuff. His buddy Nick has a connection and this, that, and the other. But so he was down at Jackson was down at Mercedes-Benz twice in the last week for football. How about that? But the playoffs are shaping up nicely for sure. If you're a college football fan, it's been pretty dramatic, and it's looking to be fun. I think the next game is what, Thursday? Somebody correct me. Thursday, then Friday. I think there are games, so that'll be fun. Well, let's see. Happy birthday. We always have birthdays. We have a lot of birthdays in this family. And happy birthday to our son-in-law, Will, who is the husband of Abigail. Abigail was Zane's wife. Abby and Zane knew each other from middle school and ended up marrying after he got out of the Army. And it was after he passed, she wound up meeting Will. And he is just a great guy in the Navy. They're stationed up in Maine. And today's Will's birthday. And he is a great dad to all those kids, including Zane's kids, Colton and Paisley. And I've got to chat with Colton a bit over the holidays. And Colton, Zane's son, our first grandchild, he took money that his Grammy sent him, and he took some other money that he had, and he took some things back to the store and got money to buy a guitar. He brought an electric guitar. You may have seen, if you follow me on Facebook, you may have seen some of the pictures I posted of side by sides of him and his dad, and it's just amazing. That he has an interest in guitar. He's learning to play guitar, and he looks so much like his dad. It's just an incredible thing, and he's a good boy. I can't wait to see him again. I don't know when we're going to see him again, but it's just they live in Maine. It's difficult, but we'll have to figure it out. But yeah, Colton, he's, what is he now, Lori? 13, 12, or 12? I don't think he's a teenager. I think he's 12. And he just got this new electric guitar, and that's when Zane got his first guitar. It's just an incredible story. But anyway, love him. So happy birthday to Will. Will is in the Navy. Not sure how many years Will has left, maybe 5 or 6 years to retirement, something like that. But proud of him. Chatted with him a little bit today on his birthday. Okay, well, let's see what else is going on. Reach Across America. So if you guys are if you have a veteran cemetery near you that participated in Wreaths Across America, I think it's true that most of them will be having their wreath pickup um, this next Saturday, which I think is what January the 11th. January the 11th. So if you're near one of those cemeteries, they always need help picking those wreaths up. I'll go out on Saturday. Maybe cold. We're predicting snow here in Atlanta on Friday, and pretty cold weather going into the weekend. But it'll be fun. I'll bundle up and get out there and pick up some wreaths. Maybe a Lori will come with me. But about 9 o'clock, I think it starts. We have to be there by 9 to do the wreath pickup. I know that'll occur all over the country. Let's see. Um, got a couple of challenge coins from a friend of mine at work. I don't know if I told you guys about this. I did post about this, but after I got back from my latest London visit, which was the first 2 weeks of December, that next week I took a trip to St. Louis for a couple of days. While I was there, a friend of mine left me a little gift box in her office, and she said, "Hey, Guy, if you're going to be in town, go to my office. I've got something for you." And sure enough, I went in there, and she had left. Now, I've given her some challenge coins over the years, and including one of Zane's. Well, she reciprocated, and she gave me a couple of challenge coins that she found in a store. And I'll just show you real quick. I posted about them, but I know but just really cool um, challenge coins. I don't know if you're into this kind of thing, but I've started collecting a lot of them. I know a lot of service members collect challenge coins. But anyway, I thought that was kind of neat. And speaking of challenge coins, I've been you guys saw back around Veterans Day, I went to St. Louis and we handed out these T-shirts, right, for our military veterans to wear on Fridays. And well, I ordered 250 of them and had a very generous benefactor that paid for them all. And I just needed to get them distributed. So we did that in St. Louis. I don't know how many we distributed, maybe 50 or 60 of them. But the rest of them we have to ship. So I've got 2 big boxes full of these ready to go tomorrow. About 100 of them. I've got about 100 of them, and I've got about 80 more to do over the next week or so. So a lot of this past week has been cutting out the shipping and loading up all of the stuff and everything. It's just I wish I had somebody to. Carson's not quite old enough to help me with that, but I needed some labor, but I didn't have it. I had to do it all myself. But it's been a lot of fun, and when it's all said and done, I will have distributed about 250 of them to veterans at our work, and along with our work challenge coin. So that's kind of cool. I'm excited for all of them to begin receiving them. Some of them should receive them tomorrow. Mailed some last week, and I've got a big shipment, like I said, of about 100 to go tomorrow, and then I have another 100 that I need to send. But most of them are in St. Louis, so I've got to make a trip. On my next trip to St. Louis, I've got to gather up the rest of those and get them distributed. But that's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. I tell you, we've never done anything like that, and I'm proud to do that for all of our military veterans. So it's been pretty busy. 2 weeks, isn't it crazy? Tell me in the chat about you guys, but having those holidays right in the middle of the week really makes those 2 weeks worthless. Even if you didn't take any PTO, paid time off, you have the weekends before and after, and then you have those 2 weeks. It's been really a crazy couple of weeks, but I've managed to do a little relaxing. I've managed to do a little babysitting. I've managed to do a lot of things around the house and things like this, and get caught up on a few things. watch a lot of football and that kind of stuff. So hopefully you guys have been able to do a bunch of that also. Well, let's see. I mentioned I didn't catalog any this week in military history items because I just ran out of time today, and so I didn't grab any of those. But I know there's always dates for us to be reminded of. There's always dates in history that are relevant that we should acknowledge and remember, and I try to do that every Sunday, but I just didn't get around to it this week. So if you know of any that I've neglected, let me know. Cindy got caught up on sleep. Yeah, when do you go back to school? Do you go back to school tomorrow, Cindy? I think that's true for most. Well, let's see. I know we're always in this mode where we're visiting. Speaking of cemeteries, we're when we visit a veteran cemetery, we track it and we tell each other about it and whatnot. And I know that I mentioned Daryl to Jefferson Barracks today. My dad and my sister, they make regular visits to my mom there at Evergreen, and they also visit my uncles and grandparents. Um, so I always count some for them. I know they went out there. I think my sis went out there. Was it today, Dad? You guys went out there and put some. You're already putting some spring flowers out there. We're still in the heart of winter, but they've done such a fantastic job there. I need to get back down and see my mom. And then Lori and I, uh, Lori and I went to Georgia National. Was it last week, Lori? Um, it was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful day out there. Um, did we go? Did I go a separate time? I can't remember, Lori. If I went twice, you and I went together because we were on that side of town. And then I may have gone. Uh, yeah, it was on his birthday. That's right. It was on Zane's birthday. Yeah, on the 29th. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then I was so happy to see our friend Amy, who often joins us here on Sunday night. Amy was traveling back east. Amy lives in um, Buccaneer Bay. They're near Plattsmouth, Nebraska. But she was visiting on the East Coast, and I saw her post that she visited New Hampshire State Veterans Cemetery. And Amy's really good about visiting cemeteries when she travels, and she does a good bit of travel. And she stopped in and saw one of our fellow crew dogs. Some of you may recognize the name Steve Levine, and Steve passed a few years ago now, and she paid a visit to Steve, so that was good. So thank you for doing that, Amy, and letting us know about it. Okay, well, let me back up a little bit, Ken. Ken had a couple of thank yous this week, as he puts in the chat. Okay, uh, Ken's hitting the road tomorrow for his consulting gig. Well, good. I know, Ken, you always do a good job of interacting with veterans when you do your consulting travels. So we'll look forward to hearing from you next Sunday night about how your adventures went. But I'll go ahead and get you. I'll get you logged in for two firefighters, which is awesome. That'll take our account. I had a couple myself. Let's see, two. I had a couple. I had one guy by the name of Mike at work, fairly new guy at work, been around for forever, but just started with us. And turns out he was an Air Force comm guy. So he and I are set to chat this week because we were to be in London in the London office at the same time toward the end of February. And I'm asking for him to help me a little bit on with the project over there. So Mike was Air Force, and then I said hello to an Army vet at the Kroger this past week. So if add up, that adds up to four. So we're at 3,191 times somebody has heard from this relatively small group of patriots. Hey, thanks. Or hey, I appreciate your service. That's more than a lot of veterans here. So thank you guys for doing that with us. You just don't know the impact that might have on somebody. I'll tell you, you may never know, um, but I can't imagine it ever being a negative. I can only imagine it being a positive. Somebody saying, "Wow, somebody does acknowledge my service." Well, Dave, elaborate on that. Good to have you in there, by the way, Dave. Surface down in Dave's down in Florida now. Dave, tell me what part of Florida you're in. My buddy Ken there um, is in Orlando area. But Dave, I don't remember where you moved to when you left Savannah, but I know it's Florida. Well, see, let me go back. I mentioned I didn't mention the hat of the week. The hat of the week. Hat of the week usually has something. I'm a hat guy. I'm always wearing a hat. And on Sunday nights, I try to tie the hat in with something that's going on around here, something we're involved in or we're doing. But this week, I thought it was appropriate to put my New Orleans hat on. I got this hat last year when I was in New Orleans for a conference, and just a devastating occurrence there this past week, just actually sickening there. So, in solidarity with those in the Crescent City, I'll wear my New Orleans hat tonight. All right, David says he's south of Kissimmee, okay, and Ken's in St. Cloud, so they're practically neighbors. But Ken, David, I met David in Savannah. I didn't know David in the military, but I met him through IT. Through I was working for a company called Cisco Systems. David was working for you weren't at Palmer and Kay, you were at Hunter McLean, or David was at one of the law firms in town, and we ended up meeting through work. And then I found out that he was an Army Ranger. He found out I was Air Force. We found out that while I was at Mildenhall, he was stationed at Lake and Heath, which is a weird thing for an Army guy. But anyway, so somehow we've kind of stayed connected over all of these years. But then Dave eventually left Savannah and moved down to Florida. But then, and Dave, Ken, I didn't know Ken when I was in the Air Force, but Ken's retired Air Force officer. Ken was a cone head. Ken was a missile launch officer in missile silos and that whole world. But you are a weird Army guy, yeah. But and I met Ken through another guy that I know, Steve Shirley, who I did serve with at Mildenhall and at Offutt. And Ken and I have become friends through, speaking of Zane, and through Steve Shirley. And isn't it amazing how the world works? Good stuff. Okay, well, let's see. We're getting close to the end here, which is good. The only thing I don't have anything new organizationally. We chronicle activities and events and occurrences that we're all connected to different organizations, like Running to Honor, like Folds of Honor, like Till Valhalla, like Reach Across America, like My Warrior's Place near Tampa. David, next time I'm down there for My Warrior's Place in Tampa, I'd love to invite you to come over and visit and meet our friend Kelly there, who runs My Warrior's Place. You may have heard me talk about it a few times, but just an absolutely fantastic mission that she has. But I'll let you know when I'm down there again. Maybe in February. I don't know yet. But always things going on. And now as we're moving into the new year, of course, things will start to spin up, and people will have new things on the horizon, and things coming up throughout the course of the year. In Memorial. We're involved in things on Memorial Day, and then over the summer with Running to Honor, and then all the way through the year. But so we try to keep each other updated on activities and things with organizations that we all know or support. All right. Well, we did have a couple of since we were last together. This is one of the segments that it's kind of a regular for Speaking of Zane, and that's where we had anybody in the military that was killed or injured or wounded as a result of um, combat activities or training or whatever. And I try to watch the news and see that because they deserve to be acknowledged. And there were a couple of incidents since we were last together. Um, an Army private called Edwin Thomas was killed in a flight-related accident at Camp Humphreys in South Carolina. I think that unit is a Chinook unit, and they didn't talk about the details of the incident or the accident, but unfortunately, PFC Thomas lost his life, and then we also lost an Army captain, actually, National Guard, Indiana National Guard Captain Eric Richard Hart died in a non-combat related incident in Iraq. Did you know we still have folks serving in Iraq? For sure, and Syria, just all over. That's why on Fridays, I mean, if we don't remind people, the regular rank and file citizenry is not going to know it, right? But we have loved ones, service members in harm's way all over the world, all of the time, and they deserve to be acknowledged. But unfortunately, Captain Hart lost his life in Iraq. It was last week. I don't remember the day, but yeah, just a tragedy. But they deserve to be acknowledged and recognized for their service and sacrifice. Okay, well, I think that is all I've got tonight. I sure do appreciate you guys showing up, especially after a couple of weeks break. We'll get back in a regular cadence, and might even have some new elements or features coming this year. You guys tell me in this 45 minutes or 60 minutes that we have together, what would you like to hear? What would you like to talk about? What would you like to see? What do you think would be beneficial to advance the mission that we have? And that's not only to remember Zane, keep his memory alive by speaking his name, but talk about Veterans Matters and things like that. Let me know what you guys would think. Daryl, I'll have one for you. Either, don't worry about it. I've got one for you carved out. Just tell me, do you want a 2X or a 3X? And now I'll either hand deliver it to you or I'll send it to you. So no worries there, pal. All right, folks. Well, have a great week. This will be a week for most of us to get back in the groove at work, or back into the groove at school, in the case of my cousin Cindy, or back, or in the case of my friend Ken, getting back in the groove for his consultancy there, and getting back in the routine. And hopefully everybody is excited about the new year that's in front of us, and charting a new course, and moving, advancing, and moving forward. I certainly am here. Well, thank you all. We'll look forward to seeing you again next Sunday night for the next edition of Speaking of Zane. Take care, everybody. God bless. See you later.